Okay, guys, so it's morning of the Canada Day. So for all my fellow Canadians that watched this video, happy Canada Day. So as you saw in my just previous segment, just before this message, I was attempting to replace that filter, the primary water separator filter. And I wasn't able to twist it off for some reason. It was just really hard, and I didn't have the right tool to loosen it, to take it off. So I decided simply, for now, I wanted to go sailing, so I just left it like that. And then I wanted to prime the pump, that filter. So on top of that filter, let me just show you something here. Okay, so on top of that filter, there's a manual pump. So once you change the filter element, you put the bowl back on. This bowl comes right off. It screws onto this filter. This filter screws onto the base of the thing. So, and this is the top of it here. So this little sprocket wheel, you actually unscrew it, and then you pull it out, and it's basically you pump it up and down to prime the fuel. Of course, at this point, you got to turn back on the fuel line from the fuel tank, open up that valve, so that you can basically prime and fill this portion here. However, what happened is that, like I said, I wasn't able to change this today, so I just left it like that. I just wanted to go out. So what I did is, as I pulled this prime plug out, the whole thing came out, the whole shaft, and left the plunger. So if you can imagine, at the end of this wheel here, this sprocket wheel, there's like a little shaft. I'll show you that in a minute. And then when I came to pull it out to start pumping, you pump about, I think it's 1 or 2 inch up and down motion. The whole thing came out, the shaft, and left the plunger part at the bottom. So I don't know if that was a big problem. So what I did to manually prime is I took out the vent screw right over here, which is right over here. Took out the vent screw, and I used a small measuring cup, and I added the fuel. I filled it up with fuel from this vent over here, and then closed it once it was just about to spill. So I know this was full. Then I went to the manual pump on the engine side of it. Let me show you that. Hold on. All right, guys, so let me show you what I meant over here. So this is the primary water fuel filter separator, okay? And there's the bowl at the bottom that you can see right there, which is transparent. It's a little dark in here right now. Usually if you put like a light behind it, you can see if there's any water, because water will be below, or will allow the fuel to float on top, so you will know that. Anyways, so what I did is, when I came to unscrew this here, this is the prime pump, the primary filter. So you would loosen the vent screw over here, and then you would open this up and pump it up and down until you start seeing fuel coming out of here, in which case now you've purged all the air. You would then close this and then set this back down and screw it. However, look what happened. So now I've just unscrewed it. Now I should be able to go up and down, except, boom, it came out completely. So the plunger that's attached to this part is still down in the hole here. So it's unable to prime it. Now, is that the problem that happened with the engine? I don't know. So anyways, now you put that back on. And then the other one, the secondary one, so once you've primed this primary primary filter, there's a secondary final filter here that's usually between 2 and 10 microns. So the first filter should be about 30 microns to eliminate all contaminations that are up to 30 microns in dimension, I guess. And then this one here is anywhere between 2 to 10 microns. This is the pre-engine, if you will, filter. So you have to change this one at the same time. So, and this one also has a vent screw, so you would loosen this up, and then you have a priming plug over here. Right, so if I just do this here, that would allow me to prime this filter, and then when it's all the air comes out and fuel starts to come out of here, you close that, and you know that this has been primed. So what happened to me yesterday is, once I decided I was going to go sailing, we left the harbor. Let me just turn the camera over. So we left the harbor. I was able to keep the original filters. I couldn't change them, as I said. So I said, well, let me start the engine. Started the engine, no problem. It ran for about about 20 minutes in harbor at my slip, and then we went out to go sailing. There's about anywhere from 20 to 40 knot winds out there, so I was ready to reef. I was excited for a great sail, an invigorating sail to say the least. Except as I left the outer markers of our harbor, the engine started being sluggish. All of a sudden, my RPMs went down. I was basically advancing in forward motion in gear at almost idle. So before I got too far into the lake, I decided to turn around and head back into the harbor. Luckily, we're a wonderful yacht club here, so a couple of members spotted me coming in, not going to my slip. I didn't want to risk engine shutting down on me as I'm doing a maneuver. We're stern too, by the way, in our slips. So I went to what we call our A dock, which is an emergency dock, where if anybody feels that either the wind's too high or they're having a problem or whatever, they can just head into this emergency dock, if you will, which is a very straightforward approach. And two members came to help me. And as I turned, put my nose into the wind to get to the dock, as I'm throwing my lines to my two fellow members on the deck, the engine cut out on me. Boom. I haven't been able to start it since. So I primed everything as best as I could. Again, I spent about 3 hours priming, manually putting fuel in, even disconnecting the fuel lines going to the injectors, so that I can maybe purge that until I see fuel come out of there. Wasn't able to start the engine, and for those who are wondering, yes, I made sure that my kill switch was not engaged. I've seen that happen a lot, where guys are frustrated, but they realize that the kill switch was pulled the whole time. So that's not the issue. So I'm thinking, since I wanted to change the filters, I think I'm going to go ahead and I got to fix that plunger. Let me show you. There you go. So I know that I got to change this, fix this part, or maybe have to replace it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use an oil extractor to extract all the fuel out of this module here. I'll turn the fuel off at the gas tank, of course. And I'm going to empty all of this. I'm going to remove, finally I got the right tool. I am going to remove the filter to replace it with a brand new one. I'll do the same thing for this one. And basically, once I'm going to disconnect my fuel lines over here, because I got to take this off, the whole base here, to disassemble it and see is it possible for me to service this and reconnect the plunger, or do I need to replace this part, or can I bring it to my local diesel shop, which is actually called ADF Diesel in Dorval in Montreal, and see if they can rebuild this or fix this plunger for me. So I'm hoping that's going to be the only issue, is that maybe with all the movement I've done, that these filters are somehow blocking the fuel from getting to the engine. So that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm going to cut the video now and get to work on this. Okay, I was able to finish draining. And as my receptacle down here was getting full, what I was using again is my oil extractor to empty that, so that I don't have to risk spilling fuel. There's nothing worse than a fuel spill. And here's the bowl. So you see all the sediments down there. You can see all the sediments down there. Really dirty, but it's not bad. This is not bad. Like I said, honestly, because I take care of my fuel, I add the proper additives and all that stuff, like BioBor, as well as K100, and twice a year I put a can of Seafoam as well. So, but look at down there. There's the plunger. Can you see the plunger back there? That's the loose thing there with the white gasket and the hole in the middle. So that's what's supposed to be hooked up to the other end of this shaft here, right? And now it's not. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to reset it. To do that, I'm going to remove now the filter component, and I'm going to remove this base here. So I'll have to take the fuel lines off as well, these fuel lines over here, so that I can bring this to the workbench in our garage here at the yacht club and see if I can fix it myself. And I really think that is the problem. At least fingers crossed, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and remove the fuel filter, and I'll get back to you guys. Okay, so I've got both filters completely removed. This is the secondary filter. When I removed it, because it's facing up, all I did is that I put it in my my receptacle bucket over here with the other filter, and then I used my my oil extractor in there to empty all the fuel out of that thing so I don't get any, accidental spillage, whatever. And it's going to go in this container. I'll be able to move this container into this container over here, which is what I bring usually to gas stations when it's full of oil, or in this case, some diesel fuel or whatever. So anyway, it's just a safeguard. And there's the part here, the primary filter, which is the water separator. So I am gonna now remove the fuel line over here and over here. So this is coming from the fuel tank in, and this is out going to the secondary filter over here. So now I'm going to just take care of taking these hoses off, and then this is actually, so this is 2 large Phillips over here that's screwed onto this piece of wood here. So I'll be removing this. So there we go. Okay, so I've got the top part of the fuel water separator filter, the primary, disconnected. I cleaned it as much as I can. It's all nice and clean. I also cleaned the bowl here. You remember how dirty that was? Or actually, it wasn't that bad. So I cleaned it all. I cleaned it with water, and then you just make sure you dry it. And then you have the little gasket here. So that fits in there. I cleaned that as well. Before I'm going to twist this onto the filter itself, I'm going to make sure I put clean fuel or a little clean oil just to lubricate that gasket over here. So here's the plunger. Here's the culprit, I believe, or I hope he's the culprit. So this plunger comes in through this hole over here, and this is your primer pump. So when that goes in there, like that, and then these, there you go. These plunger pieces go inside of here, like that, and then like that, and then hopefully this will snap on. And then this is the cylinder that when you're priming the pump, it goes up and down through this little tube here, and that's what draws fuel from the tank to fill up the fuel filter. So I'm going to go ahead and reassemble all of this. When I'm going to reassemble, I'm going to use the filter that goes here. I'm going to make sure it also, like the O-ring over here, I'm going to make sure also I put some clean oil that I have just to lubricate the seal on that filter as well. And then I'll reassemble everything. I'll follow up with you guys. All right, so I want to put the secondary filter on, and I need to put a little bit of oil here. So I changed the oil earlier in the season, so my oil off the dipstick is going to be clean enough to do that. So I'm just going to grab some off my dipstick and go ahead and put some all around the rubber gasket, like that. And I'm going to go ahead and screw that in there. So one of the things with filters, even if it's an oil filter or a fuel filter, you never want to mechanically tighten. You always want to tighten by hand as much as you can, but never, never, never tighten with mechanically. There you go. Okay, that's as tight as I'm going to want. So now I've got my my fuel water filter, separator filter, so brand new. And luckily it comes with brand new gaskets, and it's an R24. There you go. And there you go. So that's the part that's going to screw into the housing, this housing over here, like that. That will screw into there, and the bowl screws into here. And then you'll see that that's where the plunger is, so that I can prime that. So I'm going to do the same thing. Since I have a new gasket, I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to remove this gasket off the bowl and apply, of course, the new gasket over here. And I'm going to do the same thing with the dipstick. I'm going to oil it and then stop. Because of my limited space, I'm going to start by putting my filter in first on the housing. Well, first I'm going to reinstall the housing. And then once I'm done, then I'm going to put my bowl in. Again, it's still the same thing. Hand tighten only. So I'm going to go and reinstall this with the fuel lines and everything. And I'll continue the video once I'm done with that. Okay, so I finished assembling the primary filter, water separator, and the transparent bowl. However, when I first put it on, this part here was over here, meaning that when I mount this against the wall, it'll make it harder to get to it. So what I did is I unscrewed this again, realize there's a double thread. So it's a dual thread on this. So once I was able to unscrew it and then feel that second thread, I redid it again, and now it's on this side of the bulb, meaning it's away from the wall or the bulkhead that this is actually going to be mounted on. So next time I want to purge the water out, this is going to make a lot easier for me to do that. So always be aware of that when you put it on, if this thing is up against a bulkhead or on this side of it, it'll be hard for you to get your fingers around it to open it up. So hopefully that'll be a good hint for you guys. Okay, so I have everything reinstalled. Cleaned the bilge. Always keep things clean as much as you can, because sometimes if there is a problem, oil or anything like that, and you have a dirty bilge, that'll be your telltale sign. But if you keep everything dirty, you'll never know. Of course, I cleaned up by putting back new tire wraps. I had to remove some of those tire wraps to have more flexibility with the fuel line. And now I'm ready to, there's my prime pump, nicely fixed. I got my vent open. So now I'm going to go reopen the fuel, the valve at the fuel tank to reopen the fuel flow. And I'm going to start priming all this. And then once I'm done priming this one here and fuel starts coming out of this vent here, then I'll tighten this up. I know that this filter is actually primed. And then I have my secondary filter over here, and I have the vent open over here, and I'll be able pumping over here to fill this one, prime this one. And as soon as there's fuel coming out of here, then I know I can close it, and I know that now this one has been primed, and I should be able to start the engine. So that's it. That's the whole job, guys. It wasn't that long. Because of the video, it took me a little bit longer because I didn't want to miss anything, any opportunity to show you guys what I've done. But fixing this plunger was not a problem. I mean, the problem was removing everything and being able to snap it back in. Again, oiling the inside of the tube here and to give that rubber membrane an easier time going up and down was critical. And at the same time, well, change the filters. So that never hurts. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Yeah, that's it. Have a great day, guys. And again, once again, this is Canada Day here in Canada. So happy Canada Day for all of my Canadian viewers. And in a couple of days, it'll be actually July 4th. So happy July 4th holiday to all my American viewers.